Hello, friends, and thank you so much for joining me. I have something interesting to share about Brandon McGuire, who is the man who runs the very popular YouTube channel Daily Dose of Wisdom. At least this is interesting for anyone who really understands what I'm trying to do with this channel. So, Brandon regularly puts out videos that are geared towards atheists and skeptics. And he makes really, really good reaction videos that are meant to help people open up to faith in Jesus. And his channel is fast approaching 1 million subscribers. I think he's around 730,000 subscribers now as I record this. So he has a really big platform, and he's doing other things on the internet that are really impressive. In comparison, I recently broke the 700 subscribers mark, which is a big milestone for me. Anyway, a few months back, as I'm recording this, I made a reaction video about Brandon. I was commenting on one of his videos in which he was having an evangelistic conversation with a young man on a college campus. And in my reaction video, I critiqued the way Brandon explained the atonement to the young man. Brandon presented penal substitution, and which I think is an unbiblical way to view the atonement, and I thought his explanation was inadequate to really address the young man's questions and concerns. Additionally, in my reaction video, I presented the atonement teaching that Jesus and the apostles do explicitly teach, which is that it's a ransom which sets us free from captivity to sin and Satan, turning us back to God, so that we can be forgiven and transformed. Anyway, if you want to see the reaction video I did on Brandon's video, I'll link to it at the end here. And I've made several reaction videos in which I talk about some pretty big YouTubers, like Brandon McGuire, David Wood from Apologetics Roadshow, Jeff Durbin at Apologia Studios, Alan Parr, and the channel What Do You Meme? And some of these channels have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, or even over 1 million in the case of Alan Parr. And the people who run these channels must get more emails and comments than I can imagine. And so I don't really expect I don't expect them to ever see my videos, let alone contact me or leave a comment or something like that. Especially, the big YouTubers who have a lot of critics who make videos about them, like David Wood. I mean, I think it's pretty unlikely that David Wood is ever going to see the reaction video I made about him. But I make these videos for the people who watch their videos, hoping to reach some small number of them. However, a few weeks after I put this video about Brandon on YouTube, to my great surprise, he left a comment on it. And I had to do a double take when I first saw this, because I thought, that can't really, is that really him? Yeah, it really was him. And so I'm going to show you what the comment was here. So he said, "Thank you for making this video, Thomas. I appreciate your commentary and the scriptures you use to support it. We may not agree 100%, but I can tell you we do agree more than you may realize. Live interactions are tough. You aren't always sure the right angle to take, what aspect to emphasize to the individual, etc. Furthermore, I am a work in process who is trying my best to learn more all the time and to grow and to grow in the power of the Spirit. Glory be to God that he even works through our weakness and chooses to use jars of clay. Come to Florida sometime and let's preach the gospel to people together, and we'll include the ransom. So, this was obviously a very humble response. He was not defensive. He was not angry, as far as I could tell. And he even invited me to come to Florida and to do some evangelism with him. I assume he was being sincere. So in my comment back to him, which I don't know if he ever saw, I asked if he might be willing to talk with me sometime on the phone and hear a little bit of my story. I figured if he's willing to have me come visit him in Florida and evangelize with him, then he'd surely be willing to talk with me for, a couple minutes on the phone. But I did not hear back from him in the comments. And I assume that's because he has a lot going on and he must get more YouTube notifications than the YouTube app will even send to him, because I think the YouTube app sends a maximum of 12 notifications a day. But Brandon obviously gets way more than 12 comments and responses a day on YouTube. So there's a good chance he wouldn't even be notified that I responded to him. And so I thought, okay, maybe, no big surprise that I didn't hear back. It's amazing that he commented on my video in the first place. And maybe that's the end of my interaction with Brandon McGuire. However, it gets more interesting. I was listening to a video Brandon put out not long after this exchange happened, in which he was doing an apologetics reaction video, as he usually does. And as he often does, once he was finished with the clip he was reacting to, he closed with some words for his intended atheist, skeptical audience, where he's telling them something of the gospel and preaching to them and evangelizing them in his very humble, loving, compassionate way. And I'm gonna play the clip now so you can see what he had to say. So here it is. Might be a little grainy. It might lag a little bit because of I guess I got not a very good setup here, but anyway, this is only a few minutes long. So here's what Brandon is saying at the end of his video here.
Ask God to reveal himself to you if he is truly good. I'm praying for you watching this video that you will know the love of God today. I'm praying that the kindness of God would lead you to repentance, like it talks about in Scripture. And I'm praying that the idea that you have of God as some kind of either a cosmic tyrant, a moral monster, whatever the case may be, I'm praying that that negative view would give way to reality, and that you would be able to transcend the same chasm that I have, where I experience the love of God in an undeniable way. And in particular, by looking at the cross of Christ and looking at the person of Christ and seeing perfect love manifested toward us, in that while we were still dead, he came to make us alive, and he offers us abundant life. He says, "Come unto me, all ye who are heavy laden, and I will give ye rest." He offers, as a recent critic of one of my videos pointed out, a ransom for us. We are held captive by forces that are nefarious and are against our good, and Christ comes to ransom us, to pay that ransom, and to buy us back for himself, to buy us back from where we're enslaved and to set us free. It's actually so ironic, because I think one of the biggest things that causes people to resist the idea of God is that they believe that they're free, and that God is in the business of putting shackles on top of people. They think of religious structures and that it's a limitation of fun and freedom, basically, when in reality the exact opposite is true. The devil's biggest trick is convincing you that he's not real while holding you captive to either your own appetites that never satisfy, some ambition that never satisfies, some temporary happiness that always falls short, something that seems good on the surface but ends up hooking you into a pattern of behavior that leaves you ensnared. And here is Christ offering you real abundant life that is also eternal. The devil wants you to believe that God is trying to put you in a box that limits you from fun and freedom, when in reality, you are in a box. If you are living for yourself, you will not be satisfied. There's this huge crisis of meaning that everyone is talking about. And it's because there is a place inside of the human heart that only God can meet, like two puzzle pieces that are designed for each other, like a violin and a bow, etc., etc. There is a longing in the human heart universally across time and culture that is for God. We ever wonder until we come home to God himself. It's quite a...
Okay, so when I first listened to that, because I like to listen to his videos, because I love the apologetics that he does, the evidence that he puts out there for God's existence and for Jesus' resurrection, and he makes really great content about that stuff. So I'm listening to his video, no idea he's going to talk about this, and it took me a minute when he started talking about, he's talking about, as a recent critic of my video said, and it took me a minute to realize, oh wow, I'm the critic he's talking about, which was like, a pretty significant moment for me, because to have somebody like him, see a video that I put out, which I never expect somebody like him to see something that I put out, but he sees it, and he's willing to receive constructive criticism, and willing to adjust himself to it, even if it's coming from this little bitty YouTuber like myself, because he seems to have gone back and looked at some of the passages that talk about the atonement, and he's seen that, this ransom idea, being changed, being set free, that's the big theme. That's really the big idea. Now, maybe he already believed that and had just not spoken about it in the video that I reacted to, and he almost certainly still believes in penal substitution, and I'm pretty confident that he believes in grace alone and faith alone and eternal security and imputed righteousness of Christ and all of that kind of stuff that, in my opinion, lulls people to sleep and gives people a false sense of security. But it's still encouraging to see that he heard what I had to say and then responded by trying to communicate a more accurate biblical understanding of the atonement. So I was very excited to see that. But then I thought, well, that's probably all that's going to come of this. I'm probably not going to get the chance to actually talk to Brandon. And so, maybe I should just be happy with this and grateful for the opportunity to have had some little impact, and I'll just move on. And what else can I do? However, it gets even more interesting. Something happened the next day. If I remember correctly, it was the very next day after I saw that video I just showed you and was thinking about all this. Now, I live with my 84-year-old dad. I've been living with him since my mom unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And it can be a little bit tricky living with my dad sometimes because he's not a follower of Jesus. And so he and I have very different lifestyles, very different perspectives on reality, and that can be a little challenging for a number of reasons. So I try to be there for him in whatever way I need to without participating in the kind of lifestyle that he wants to live, because I'm trying to deny myself, and take up my cross every day and just, go all out for Jesus. But my dad, like I was once, is trying to enjoy his life however he can, which is what we would expect from someone who doesn't believe in Jesus. And so we're living under the same roof but walking on very different paths. And one of the things my dad loves, which I've pretty much forsaken, is watching movies and TV shows. He's got a big flat screen TV in the living room and in his bedroom. But of course, Jesus uses whatever is going on around us for his purposes. So I come out of my room in the morning, and this is the day after I'd seen Brandon's video and I was thinking about all this stuff. Come out first thing in the morning, and my dad is sitting on the couch watching TV, as he often does in the morning. And there on the big screen in the living room is Brandon McGuire. My dad is watching Brandon McGuire. I want you to appreciate how strange that really is. My father had no idea who Brandon McGuire is. He had never seen any of his videos, to my knowledge, and I had not told my father about this. My dad is completely removed from my YouTube activities. He knows that I have a YouTube channel, but he seldom watches the stuff that I put out there. He's not really interested. And my dad did not know prior to this morning that you could even get YouTube on that TV. But he somehow accidentally figured out how to put YouTube on the TV in the living room on this particular morning. Now, my dad is technologically challenged, as many people his age are. He had never brought up YouTube on the TV there before, as far as I can remember, as far as I know. He didn't even know that you could do that. He just kind of accidentally explored his way onto the YouTube app for the first time on this particular morning, because he's got a Spectrum package which comes with different apps, including YouTube, most of which go unused. But because I have in the past a couple times brought up that app and shown him some stuff about Jesus, through that YouTube app, when he accidentally figured out how to bring it up, it was my YouTube account that was the one that came up when he opened it on the TV. So he'd never once opened up YouTube, to my knowledge, on that TV. And if you had asked him earlier that morning if you can watch YouTube on the TV, he would have had no clue, would have looked at you like a deer in headlights. So anyway, my dad just happens to stumble onto the YouTube app that morning for the first time as he's fiddling with the remote. And then of all the videos he could have picked from the various channels I watch, he just happens to pick a daily dose of wisdom video. And this just happens to happen the day after I've been thinking about all this Brandon McGuire stuff. Now, that could be an enormous, ridiculous coincidence, but I went ahead and took it as a sign that God did not want me to give up on connecting with Brandon McGuire. So I thought, okay, let me make another video about Brandon that will hopefully, maybe I can do a reaction video to this video he just did, where he's talking about the atonement and the ransom, and maybe I can, just kind of affirm what he's saying and encourage him and stuff like that. And maybe we can interact again in the comments or something. But then I thought, no, let me just email him first privately and see if he responds. So I sent him an email. He's got his contact there on his channel or his website or wherever. And so here is the email that I sent. It says, "Hi, Brandon. This is Tommy. I recently reacted to one of your videos. I critiqued your presentation of the atonement to a young college student. To my great surprise, you somehow came across my video and watched it and commented. I've done a number of reaction videos on big YouTubers and have never heard from any of them, so I was surprised and impressed that you took the time to watch and comment, and that your comment was not angry or defensive. In your comment, you invited me to Florida. I don't know how serious you were about that, but I figured that if you're willing to have me visit you in Florida, you'd be willing to talk to me for a few minutes sometime over the phone or video chat. I'd just like to tell you a bit of my story and see what you think. I believe the Lord has shown me something, and I am trying to get it out there, and very, very few people seem to be open to it. But at the same time, I think many of us sort of know it to some degree deep down, but not many want to really look at it. I know I'm being a bit vague and mysterious, but my experience is that if I blurt it out, I appear to be a nutcase. But if I tell my story, people tend to get it more easily. What do you think? Would you have 30 minutes to an hour to spare some time praying for you regularly?" So I sent that email not knowing what to expect, and he responded. And here is what he said. "Hey, Tommy. Thanks for reaching out. I'd love to chat. Let's do it. When's a good 30-minute window for you?" Which is okay. This is great. We're on here. You know, we've got a conversation going, and it looks like we're going to get on the phone. And I'll just read through the rest of our short email exchange, which is encouraging at first, but then it gets really discouraging, as you'll see. So I came back, that was July 5th, I came back that day and said, "You continue to impress me. I didn't expect to hear back. I cannot imagine how many emails you must get. Well, I'm pretty flexible at the moment. I should have plenty of time tomorrow, Saturday. Sunday is usually not as open, but can still make things work pretty easily if needed. And next week is pretty flexible too. My guess is that with your channel, the Wisdom Society, and whatever else you have going on, I should be asking you when you have 30 minutes. It would probably be easier for me to work around you than for you to work around me. Thanks so much for getting back to me." That was July 5th. On July 10, I sent another email knowing that he's probably got all kinds of things coming across his computer screen and cell phone every day. So I said, "Hi, Brandon. Just keeping myself on your radar, which I'm sure is extremely large, so no rush in getting back to me, but hope to hear from you soon." He responded on July 22nd. "Hey, Thomas, my apologies for the delay. Things have been busier than usual recently, and now we're heading on a trip that will take me out of the loop again. Would love to chat, though. Would any time in the week of August 5 to 9 work for you?" I came back that day, all right, because I'm excited, excited to find a time to talk to him. I said, "Yes, I should have plenty of time that week. Would you prefer a morning or an afternoon or an evening? Right now, I have very little planned that week. I only have work scheduled on Wednesday morning and early afternoon, otherwise wide open. I'll throw out a few random times. Monday at 4 p.m., Tuesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 7 a.m., Friday at 3 p.m. I'm free at other times, just trying to give you something to work with. If you are not free at any of these times, just tell me when you are free and I should be able to make it work. You are probably more busy than I am, and certainly more busy than I am in a certain way, and it would probably be easier for me to work around your schedule. May God give you a safe trip to and from." That was July 22nd. And got this email, I think it was earlier today. Hey Thomas, sorry for the delayed response. Life and work have gotten increasingly busy for Brandon, so he has brought our team in to help manage his ever-growing email inbox. Unfortunately, he is unable to accommodate a meeting. We hope you understand. Thank you, support team. So, it appears that Brandon McGuire himself, the actual man, is no longer accessible. You can't reach out to him directly. You can't even email him directly anymore, let alone hope to get on the phone with him. However, I have not given up on Brandon McGuire. And this video that you are watching right now is part of my attempt to get myself back on Brandon's radar. I hope that now that he's seen one of my previous videos and left a comment, that if I make another video with his name in the title and on the thumbnail and as a tag and everything, hopefully it will pop up on his feed, and he'll watch this, and maybe we can, actually talk. So Brandon, if you do see this, I know you must be busier than I can imagine. I know you must have lots of people who want to talk to you, or else you wouldn't have needed to get a support team. With a channel as big as yours and with the Wisdom Society, you must be stretched pretty thin. However, I also think you care about doing what you say you're going to do, and you did give me the impression that we were going to talk, and so, busy or not, I hope that you will follow through, and I think that there's good reason to think that the Lord wants us to talk, and all I'm asking for is 30 minutes to chat and to tell you a little bit of my story. I believe God has shown me something that anybody can see if they're willing to, but which very few people are really willing to look at. And I've been praying that God would help me find someone who has a big platform and who would be willing to shout it from the rooftops in a way that I will probably never be able to. Someone who will have the wisdom and the right tone to be able to communicate this to lots of people in the right kind of way, and who isn't afraid to tell people something they won't like but need to know. And if you're not willing to talk with me one-on-one, Brandon, I hope you will at least check out the video that pops up on the screen, which will tell you some more about my concerns. There should be two videos popping up. One will be the reaction video I did on you a few months ago, and then another will be the one I just mentioned, which I hope you'll check out if you don't want to talk on the phone. And to my friends watching this, who understand what I'm trying to do, and who see what I'm seeing, please pray for Brandon McGuire. I think he's a sincere man, loves the Lord, has genuine compassion for the lost, and is honestly trying to get the message of Jesus out to people, and is incredibly effective at doing that. Of course, I believe he's communicating a message that is terribly compromised, and I'd love to explain that to you, Brandon. That's not a criticism of you personally. It's just something that I think is happening to many of us today. And anyway, hopefully I get to explain it to you at some point. May God bless you, whoever you are watching, and thank you for taking the time.